everybody out there in YouTube. We are the Middle Age Guys, and we are going to continue through our reviews of every episode of Young Justice, continuing with this particular video. Let me go ahead and get the introductions out of the way. I'm the Reverend.
The Theme here.
And I'm Grey Mouse 1.
This particular episode that we're reviewing is Season 1, Episode 11. It's entitled Terrors, and it was originally aired out on September 23rd, 2011. Like I said before, episodes are six years old. I'm not going to give you any sort of spoiler warnings. We're pretty much going to do the usual short synopsis and 3 talking points, what we liked, what we didn't like, or what we might change if we had a choice, and any sort of details that we've noticed this time around that we see acts as a setup or a hint to anything that happens in the future. Let me go ahead and get the synopsis out of the way. I guess in really, really short form, the episode happened. No. All right. What happens in this particular episode is that we have the Terror Twins who are fighting the Justice League, and they get knocked out of the air, and what happens is that they get apprehended by the Justice League. In their stead, instead of Tommy and Tuppence Terror going to Belle Reve, we actually have Superboy and Miss Martian undercover going into Belle Reve in their steed to go ahead and find out what's going on. What they're doing actually is that they're following up on the 4 ICE villains that the Justice League fought and defeated in the very first episode of this whole series. It turns out that all of them are being transported over to Belle Reve prison, and Batman, of course, suspects that there's something really nefarious that's going to happen there, and he sends the 2 in there undercover to go ahead and try to uncover what's going on. Turns out that it's not a surprise that they're all there. While they're in there, they find out that the ICE villains are trying to mastermind this huge prison escape. It's going to be the biggest prison escape of, multiple superpowered metahumans in all of history. And while working the end, Miss Martian as Tuppence Terror in the ladies' wing and Superboy as Tommy Terror in the male wing, they go ahead and they figure out what the plan is, and when the escape actually starts, they move into action to go ahead and foil the escape. Problem is that during the time that they're trying to escape in the ladies' wing, Killer Frost is about to kill one of the female guards, and because of that, Miss Martian goes ahead and she uses her telekinesis to stop her, which blows her cover completely. And yeah, her cover is blown and she's immediately set in danger. Superboy knows that, and he's trying to figure out how the hell to get over there on that side. So he cooks up a plan to go ahead and basically con Icicle Jr. into enacting a plan that allows him to go ahead and reactivate all the inmates' inhibitor collars. Once they get once the fact that the inhibitor collars are reactivated, becomes uncovered, Mr. Freeze goes ahead and he confronts Icicle Jr. And again, Superboy, really quick on his feet, he goes ahead and he starts talking in his ear like, hey, look, these guys are, Mr. Freeze is trying to pull a power play. He's trying to go ahead and take over the whole escape from underneath your dad. You got to go ahead and deal with that. So he starts them infighting with each other. Long story short, he incapacitates Mr. Freeze. He makes his way over into the other side of the ladies' wing, finds out that Miss Martian has been frozen solid in ice by Killer Frost. After a small fight with Devastation, he goes ahead and he incapacitates both Killer Frost and Devastation. Miss Martian breaks free of the ice, and during the time that they're there, they finally have their moment together. All right, all of the sexual tension just climaxes all at once. It's just not as messy as most teenagers would make it. All right, the episode ends up. The plan is foiled, but it turns out that it looks like the light was in on this, and that their big objective all along really was to eject Amanda Waller as the warden of Belle Reve Prison and have Dr. Hugo Strange step in as the person who's running the prison in their stead. And that's pretty much where the episode leaves off. Was there anything I left out?
Nope.
I think that's pretty much it?
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Okay, so what we're going to do is that we're going to go ahead and start up with our first talking point, guys. Just like usual, what did we like about this particular episode?
The fact that they took it all the way back to episode 1 with the ICE villains and everything. I thought that was very, very freaking cool because, oh wait, you forgot about this? Well, 10 episodes ago, this happened, and they explained the story on why they're all going to the same place. 2 people were already there, and 2 people, wanted to be transferred there. So Batman knows that something is up. The Terror Twins. Okay, they introduced the Terror Twins, even though they were on screen, the real Terror Twins for a little short time. Man, okay. That's absolutely fine. That was cool. You see Cat Grant again. The reporter. So I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah. And then the whole prison thing. I mean, Gray Mouse, take the floor, dude, because there's so much on this episode.
Well, yeah, I enjoyed this episode as well. I kind of like that they finally wrapped up, not really wrapped up, but started the relationship between Superboy and Miss Martian. Finally, that was, I mean, it's been teased for the last 11 episodes, or not 11, but I'm just saying. What?
No, it was kind of that long. You could tell that Miss Martian had a crush on him from the get-go.
Yeah, it's pretty much been starting to. They sowed the seeds all the way back in episode number 3. So
yeah, that's what I was saying. So yeah, so I'm glad to finally see that happen. And I'm kind of glad to see a lot of villains in one place at one time. In one time, and how all those villains, all those people together, and still have a story that made sense, or for the most part made sense.
Yep. Was there anything else you want to throw on that? Okay, cool. Thank you. You left something open for me. Actually, with this particular one, I got to say that, yeah, if you're somebody who is like really into like name dropping, there was a crap load of villains all over the place. We got Icicle Jr., Icicle Sr., Mr. Freeze, Killer Frost, Captain Cold, Amanda Waller, Hugo Strange, the Riddler, Mammoth, Blockbuster, Professor Ojo, Brick, Shimmer, Devastation, Abracadabra, and there's probably a few other inmates that are thrown in there just for good measure. Oh yeah, the Terror Twins also. And that's not even mentioning any of the actual heroes that show up. So there's a lot of characters there, just really kind of thrown into like sort of like a villain menagerie or a bouillabaisse, right? So there's a whole bunch of ingredients there. But the cool thing about it was that they just weren't showing up. They weren't just showing up on camera acting as filler. Each one had a purpose. And guess what? Each one of them, or the majority of them, had showed up in previous episodes before. Right. We know that they were defeated by either the team or members of the Justice League. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of refreshing to sit there and say, oh yeah, by the way, this guy right here that you saw all the way back in episode number 2, yeah, he's showing up here because that's where he's been the whole time, right? So yeah, it's really, really cool the amount of characters that they were able to go ahead and show up into this one. All right. That's not to say that there weren't things that we could probably go ahead and nitpick at, because there was a few things that I can nitpick at, and that'll bring us up to our second talking point. Was there anything in this particular episode that you didn't like, or if there was something that, if you had a choice to change, what would you change? Floor is open, guys.
Tommy Terror, I just gone toe-to-toe with Superman. Wait a minute, huh? As far as what we saw, Superman and Martian Manhunter are in midair, and you're trying to throw cars at these guys. That kind of bothered me at the beginning when he said, I just gone toe-to-toe with Superman. And I'm like, wait, and who's mine? Yours or everybody else's? Because no. Yeah. And then there was Superboy. Oh, my God. Every time it was something mentioned about a father, a Paul, or the man, you could see it on him. He just is like, damn it, I'm always going to be reminded of this super fucker that I can't get with as far as having a bond or amount to. But yeah. I do understand they just could have toned it down just a wee little bit. Okay, we get it. All right. We fucking get it. Just damn it. Calm it down, let it go, whatever.
What about you, Gray Mouse? Was there any big grievances that you had with this particular episode?
Last time I did this. Anyway, I guess out of the 4 ice villains, Captain Cold didn't say one word. I mean, he did not say a damn thing that whole episode.
No, he did. He did. You know what he said? Ah!
That was it. And I was like, wait a minute, he's one of the 4 main villains that you were pushing at the beginning. And then you just didn't say anything. And I was like, oh, come on, at least throw something in there, you know, throw a couple of lines in there. And you know, that's pretty much the only thing. I mean, to be honest with you, that's the only really gripe that I had. And you know, like I said before, you know, all the villains in one area. It's tough to give people, you know, lines, I guess, so to speak, that actually have important things to say. I mean, if you really look at it, like you went down the laundry list of villains that was incarcerated. So, not all of them had parts. I mean, I don't even think Devastation didn't say shit. She didn't say shit. She just stood there like, you know, so
acting like a rap group hype man. Yeah,
pretty much.
Yep.
And then, you know, another thing too is I think the hook with Professor Ojo could have been a little better, because I was just kind of wondering, how did he figure out that Tommy was not Tommy, that he was Superboy? No, I know, but that's not part of it. His mask had a thing on it, a device that kept him from using it.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
he couldn't use the laser, but he probably could still see.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
but I mean, did he have? I mean, because it was an illusion. The whole thing was an illusion. But
No, well, he was. Well, actually, Superboy was just disguised.
well, hang on. Not an illusion like a musician type of illusion.
Mhm.
But I mean, like, another thing too is like Superboy just so happened to look like Tommy.
Probably enough just to go ahead and
I'm just
have them in
saying.
there.
He copied
You
his
know?
voice and down to the T and
Or-
everything.
That's not hard to do. Anybody could talk country. That's really.
But that's the point that I was just saying. Well, I mean, I could try to talk country, but you
No,
probably
don't.
see it right through it immediately. So
Please don't. Anyway, that's enough for me. What about you, Reverend?
I gotta say that yeah, I see your point. There's a lot of people that go ahead and divvy up screen time with, but that's kind of the risk that you run when you have that many characters on screen. So, but the one thing that that stood out like a sore fucking thumb, and the theme went ahead and you mentioned it earlier. Daddy issues all over this fucking
it was
episode.
all over. Yeah.
Yeah,
With
it was.
Icicles,
Yeah.
CJ Junior, and then there was this. Damn. Oh god.
Yeah. You know, it started up the very first major line that I remember out of the episode. Right, was after, you know, Tommy Terror sits there and says, you know, I just gone toe to toe with Superman. Right. The first thing out of Superboy's mouth is, well, that's more time he's ever spent with me. And it's like, wow, really?
The first thing.
Yeah.
The very first fucking thing out of his mouth. And then there's the, you know, not that it didn't serve some sort of purpose, because it does kind of underline, you know, sort of the things that that's going on between a lot of the characters. But if their part of it was to prove the point that, yes, guess what, we're still dealing with dumb teenagers here, especially during the counseling session and all of that, it was like, wow, you know, I can kind of see where Miss Martian is coming from, but at the same time, you know, if I was sitting in that same position, I'd be like, why the fuck are you airing out my dirty laundry in front of this dude who has no fucking idea who I am? You know, it's one of those deals where it's, you know, on that same point, it kind of feels like, you know, a little bit of invasion of privacy if somebody's airing out your shit, you know. But it you know, the way that he reacted again just reflected, oh yeah, this is, that Big Daddy issue is still a fucking issue with Superboy. You know what I'm saying? What's up, Grey Mouse?
I got a question for you. Do you think Hugo Strange kind of caught on, as in, because the way his response to that little whole ordeal, it kind of made me like, because we didn't know until the end of the the episode that he was in on the light. So I find it very interesting that kind of like, did he put two and two together as in Superboy / Superman, or did he put it together as Tommy /
Well, let's keep a hold of that because we're actually going to go ahead and cover that in the next talking point, okay? But yeah, just to wrap up on this particular one that we're talking about, yeah, the daddy issues, all right? As far as it goes, the daddy issues. I understand, we're not even completely halfway through the first season and everything else. And yes, Superboy does still have a lot of growing to do as far as becoming a really solid character. Suffice it to say, I'm happy that he's very different by the beginning of season 2 in comparison to where he's at right now, or even in comparison to where he was at the end of season 1, for that matter. But yeah, at the very least, it could have been toned down a little bit. There was no way that you can get away with it. It was just very much right there in your face. All right.
I don't think, in all honesty, I don't think that episode would have went right if it wasn't based off of the daddy issues. I mean, it seems like, unfortunately, that was the backbone of that episode, and it worked.
Yeah. Like I said, if it's one of those things where I can sit there and I can accept that now, after watching this particular episode multiple times. But yeah, if I was somebody who was watching this the first time and be like, fuck, these people have real bad father issues, right?
I just wish they would have just toned it down just a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I mean,
almost every scene with Superboy involved.
I guess they were pushing home a point.
Yeah. Quite possibly. And to be fair, it is only 22 minutes long. But that's not to say, like I said, that it didn't serve its purpose, because just like we said many times, we've seen these episodes multiple times, and every time we watch them, there's always a new detail that pops up, which will bring us to our third talking point. What did you notice this time around that serves as a reference point or a hint to a future storyline or episode that's coming in the future? Floor is open, guys.
Well, we're getting closer and closer to the light. Hugo Strange. First of all, the Riddler escaped Bel Rev. Okay, yep. That's something that was very subtle and hidden, so to speak. But the Riddler actually escaped. Come on now, you got to know that we're gonna see him again. Bel Rev being taken over by Hugo Strange, and him talking to Icicle Senior. The primary objectives were met. Sure, the breakout didn't take place, and I'm like, what's gonna be coming next then? Oh, and now you have Superboy and Miss Martian as an actual couple. How's the rest of the team gonna take that? How is it gonna affect their missions?
What about you, Gray Mouse? What did you notice? Was there anything that you could cover?
That's pretty much everything right there. I did find it very strange that, no pun intended, that the Riddler was a running joke, running gag. He was the gag of this episode, and he's the only one to escape. And then if you think about it, how did he escape? It just, because the guys didn't get through the wall already, So I don't know how he got out. And then between him getting out and then Hugo Strange becoming the warden, because it already said warden on his little placard. I was like, damn, he was planning this shit,
Wait, okay, they didn't show how Superboy and Miss Martian got out of there.
I can only assume that
they were surrounded by criminals. You mean that Icicle Jr. didn't tell anybody?
Well, they were their choke collars when they were
they were able to go ahead and reactivate the inhibitor collars, and they were also just waiting for everything to go down before they called in the cavalry, the rest of the Justice League, to actually come in, and the rest of the team to actually come and get them out.
Just wish would have shown that.
remember Aqualad and Red Tornado.
Red Tornado, they were standing by, but I wish they would have shown them out of there.
That's how they got out, and they're heroes, so they could just walk out the front door. But the thing is the Riddler got out.
Yeah, with Red Tornado and Aqualad waiting out there.
That's the hook.
He probably got out. You know what? You know what's funny is that when I think about that, I think he probably got out. Just trying to be a normal guy walking through fucking traffic because everything was going to shit like on an express elevator in a fucking handbasket there.
But doesn't he have an inhibitor collar on?
Yeah, but you got to remember the Riddler doesn't have any power, so it doesn't matter.
I got it, but I'm talking about when they turn the power back on, he's not strong enough to rip it off.
Yeah, but when
the collars went back on, he should have been quote unquote put to sleep. But
the funny thing was that as soon as when the break started happening, and they showed everybody else around, he wasn't there.
Yeah,
he wasn't on screen at all. So he was.
No, you're right. I mean, you can put that. You can throw that in there. But the thing is, though, they haven't gotten through the wall yet. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it is a hole. But let's continue on because I haven't said my particular piece on it. All right. I'm going to cheat again. Okay. Because I think majority of the hints and the major setups have already been covered by either the theme or Grey Mouse. This particular episode, one of the things I love about it is the fact that it does reference all the way back to the very first fucking episode. All right. The 4 ice villains that were captured on the 4th of July, and they go ahead and they bring that forward. Again, it's one of those things. It's it fits really, really well, and it just kind of illustrates the folks who are putting together and architecting the overall storyline arc for the season and everything. They had this in mind beforehand when they were putting things together, and they were doing their writing. So I think the only thing that we may not have went ahead and mentioned. Well, yeah, we mentioned Miss Martian, Superboy. We mentioned Hugo Strange. We mentioned the Riddler getting out. Yeah, that pretty much covers all of the ongoing hints or setups for future episodes. All right. One odd thing though, what's funny is that Grey Mouse was the one who sat there and brought this up in the last episode for episode 10 and episode 9. Pretty much aside from Aqualad, Miss Martian, and Superboy, none of the other team members were present at all. And you know what's funny is that the only other character who probably had the second most lines and dialogue, aside from Miss Martian and Superboy, was Brick, the villain.
Yep.
That's the same voice actor that voice acts Aqualad. So maybe they were just saving pennies with this particular episode.
Okay. Well, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. That being said, let's go ahead and let's bring this up to our final, verdict or final review of the particular episode on a scale of yay, nay, or meh. What are your thoughts on the episode? Theme, go ahead and go first.
The main reason why I'm going to give this a yay is because they did something that is rarely done. You got these motherfuckers going into prison to see why. And, obeying Batman's instructions as far as saying, okay, this, and this happened. You guys are going undercover. You don't see that often. Plus, as Grey Mouse alluded to, all those villains introduced on screen, past things brought up. You've seen these people before, and now you're seeing them again. It's not like whatever happened to them. Oh, no, we're never going to see these people on screen again. They're captured. They're in jail, whatever. This is a yay for me.
Okay. What about you, Grey Mouse? Yay, nay, or meh?
I have to say yay. I really enjoyed this episode, being that, especially if you enjoy characters, and a lot of them, whether you like the villains or the superheroes, they're all there. Most of them, for the most part. Yeah. So, it was and I was finally glad to see the Superboy and Miss Martian that we all knew, finally become a couple, so we can move on to more important things like story.
Yeah. So yay for you. No surprise here. It's a yay. All right. Like I've said in previous videos that we put together on our reviews, I am a sucker for good character interaction, and there's, even though a lot of the same theme, the father issue theme, all right, was repeated over and over and over multiple times over this particular episode, you know, the thing about it, the funny thing about it was that they went ahead and they dressed it up in different outfits and offered it in different flavors in ways where it was like, okay, I get it, but, you know, with the context of each and every character that they offered it with, it really helped even Icicle Jr. and Icicle Sr. as villains. It actually helped them become better characters.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it did.
You know, yeah, and you know the whole thing, the very sweet, you know, sappy cherry on top was the fact that Miss Marsh and Superboy finally had their moment. They finally kissed. All right. The thing that capped it off about that moment was the fact that Icicle Jr. was right there, and the first thing out of his mouth was, "Dude, that's your sister." And that just, oh man, I swear that was just so, that was just great. Just that makes me crack up every time I think about it. But yeah, definitely great storytelling. You know, they reference all the way back to the very beginning of the fucking show. There isn't hardly any other shows, much less animated shows, that actually ever do that.
That right.
Yeah, so this is definitely a year for me. Like I said, I'm a sucker for good character interaction, and this particular episode, even though some things kind of grated on me, had it in spades. All right, and that's pretty much where we're gonna go ahead and wrap this particular video up. What we really want to know is, what did you think of the episode? What do you think about our commentary? What do you think about us actually going through this and doing all of our reviews? You can let us know by leaving a comment below. While you're at it, mash on that like button. And if you really like what we do here, whether it be our reviews talking about video games or talking about just random bullshit, feel free to subscribe. With that, all of our bullshit on Season 1, Episode 11 of Young Justice, entitled Terrors, ends right here. I'm the Reverend.
The Theme here.
And I'm Grey Mouse 1.
Every form of entertainment has the right to exist, even if you don't like it. Credits.
Hey, look. Grey Mouse and I are actually wearing appropriate shirts.